The Me Too movement brought attention to inequality, harassment, in some cases assaults women have faced in the workplace. It's been 2 years now since dozens of women accused Hollywood moguls and some CEOs of inappropriate behavior toward female colleagues. Research finds in the time since, men are more hesitant managing women. LeanIn.org and SurveyMonkey asked about 5,000 male executives about it. The results show 60% of male managers say they're uncomfortable working one-on-one with a woman. That's a 32% jump from last year. When working with male employees compared to female employees, the survey found that senior-level men are more hesitant to have meetings with women. They're also more hesitant to travel with female employees or have a work dinner with them. Some argue the Me Too movement has made the workplace uncomfortable for men. Women executives say that's nonsense, that it's simply holding men accountable to treat women fairly. Here's what the founder of Lean In and Facebook's COO, Sheryl Sandberg, told CNBC.
So I don't believe they've had negative implications. I believe they're overwhelmingly positive because half of women have been sexually harassed. But the thing is, it's not enough. It's really important not to harass anyone, but that's pretty basic. We also need to not be ignored.
Sandberg says the way to create equal access in a workplace is simple, that same rules must apply to all. If managers are uncomfortable having a one-on-one with a female employee, then they should not have a one-on-one with a man either. If you have thoughts on this study, head over to our 11 Live Facebook page. There's a good conversation happening right now. You can let us know what you think.